Trascent is now involved in helping corporate real estate leaders and organizations transform their services, their performance standards, workplace experience, and really leverage the digital age we are in today, which we weren't back then. And to structure a deal anticipating how the world might be in a decade is not an easy matter. We can just see what has happened in the last 2 years. The amount of change the world has seen just the last 2 years, economic, geopolitical, labor, demographics, generational changes in terms of what people expect from a workplace shifted dramatically. Technology, we are at the dawn of a kind of digital disruption we saw when e-commerce came into play. Now, putting in place a deal that can prosper for both parties over the next decade is the kind of challenge you and I relish. Kevin, the nature of Trascent's work has also substantially evolved. We have become transformation partners on some of the most complex and global transformation corporate real estate initiatives in the world. We are working side by side with the major players, major supplier partners in the industry, with the side by side with them as well as the client to make the outcome very successful for all parties concerned. Today, contracts are more about not just transition, not just transference of performance accountability to a trusted third party, but they're about transformation. The industry has been investing, and you can read this in all of the annual reports and CEO remarks of all of the major supplier partners around the world, in technology, in data, in transparency. How must the contracts and the deal structures evolve? Are there elements from technology outsourcing? You previously mentioned that technology was a very different type of category than FM, which is local. As the industry infuses more technology in how FM services deliver. So for example, you can operate a facility from Bangalore, even though the site might be in London, through remote controls, smart buildings, other kinds of things. We have clients who are operating their entire network of facilities. All of the building smart systems are connected to each other. FM and real estate becomes more technology enabled. Are there elements of what we used to say doesn't apply? Is it starting to apply?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we can learn a lot from those deals because there are risks that are created when you move to that environment that we didn't have before. So as an example, when you have local services, the costs that are incurred by the supplier are local, they're in local currency. When you're talking about the solution you just mentioned, you now have a disconnect. You have cost incurred in another location, another currency. So we have to work through
the service is in a different location.
Exactly. So we have to work through those, but these aren't new issues in IT. These have been around for 30 years. So we can learn from how they've managed those in those contracts and apply that here. I think also the other thing to remember is this is a labor heavy industry in terms of service delivery. That's where a majority of the costs are, they're in labor. And so when clients are looking for savings, typically that savings is going to come through reducing the need for people, for labor. And technology, as it's evolving, just to touch on AI just briefly here for a second, just applying AI in its most basic form of people, individuals who are on the ground performing services, leveraging AI to become more efficient, to free up more time to do substantive activities and not be bogged down with kind of administrative functions that AI can help relieve them of. That can bring some basic fundamental efficiencies to the account that can generate savings. That's just the most basic level of application of AI.
And I see much more also, Kevin. I believe our clients today are strengthening the focus on third-party technology performance in terms of governance of that technology, in terms of updates to that technology, mitigating the risks of updates, because as you know, a simple software update or upgrade can bring disruptions, as we've seen in the press, and also far stronger provisions on data. We as Trascent have worked in transformations. I think I've seen an evolution of the strengthening and new provisions being added around technology and data, specifically around process flows, data definitions that both parties have to work together to attain. I think using data as a strategic asset has been talked about decades in this industry. I think we're at a point at the threshold which actually can be a reality. But in order for it to become a reality, I think the way the parties have to work together has to change. The way these deals are structured has to change. Otherwise, we'll have a contract and a process and a way of working embedded in legacy expectations that doesn't match with the expectations we have on data and technology today.
Yeah, I completely agree with what you're saying. I think that actually the onus is on our clients to be asking a lot of questions and not make assumptions, not just assume because the world has moved so much in this direction that all of the suppliers who are participating in an RFP, et cetera, can actually bring that to the table and do it. I think we're at a place where it's show me your solution. The issue we're seeing is that, suppliers, think about what they looked like 25 years ago. Back then, they were all managing agents who were doing this work. Now they're self-performing roughly 50% or more of the services. That's a radical transformation. A lot of that was through acquisitions. Although you could probably get a consistent product as it relates to data and information if you're doing a North America deal or a US deal, the bigger your deal, the more likely you're going to run into an issue of an acquired entity that's using different systems within the supplier. And those issues need to be worked through to determine whether or not you can get that consistently. And if not, what kind of path is there to get there? I mean, if you really think about it, back 25 years ago when you and I first started working together, in some jurisdictions, they were still literally capturing cost data with pencil and paper. In some cases, they probably still are. In some far-flung countries that sometimes are still in scope. So I think it's doable, it's possible, but you just can't make that assumption. And I think that's also where our transformation expertise, what we've experienced to date, we kind of know where those rough spots are and how to identify those, how to maybe find some solutions, whether that's leveraging our clients' technology to bridge those gaps, or bringing in a new tool that the supplier is going to use and just deploy everywhere, as opposed to just relying on their existing infrastructure.